So let's get to it. Yeah, what's up, everybody? It's Heat Override, and I'm ready to bring the pain for you this week. I got a special guest. He's one of my flying casual buddies. His name is Wade. How you doing, Wade?
Not bad, Rob. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's been a good weekend and things like that. That was technology at its best, right?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Uh, Gotta love it, man. I got my Darth Vader going. I got my Darth Vader going and stuff
Nice.
like that. So, so what you been up to this summer?
Oh, man. You know what it's like working for the post office, nonstop every day.
Yeah, I know it. Like you got called in last week. That was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yep. Although I did just have a nice little vacation up in the Poconos with the family, so can't argue about that too much.
No. You cannot, man. That's the best stuff in the world, man. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna clap for that. So we're gonna jump right into it, man. Bad Batch, the whole series. I didn't think it was gonna be good.
Hmm.
What have? But I'm beside myself. It's great. What do you feel?
I'm loving it. I'm loving every minute of it. Like every week, it's honestly the hype is just about the same as it was for me with like the Mandalorian. It's like every
Mm-hmm.
week for that new episode, and then when it finally comes out, you get through it. You're like, oh my god, that was fantastic.
It was that last episode. We were talking about that before we went live and things like that. That last episode, that's deep. I mean, I didn't think that they were going to be able to get back to their ship during
Mm-mm.
this episode. How did that work out for you?
I I was honestly like on the edge of my seat like the entire thing. Yeah, I didn't think they were going to be able to. I mean, I saw they were doing a part one and two, so I had a feeling they were going to be on cliffhanger, but just so much stuff that they dropped in that episode. Like, oh my god, how are they going to wrap this up?
Yeah, I mean that moment when Crosshair said, "I had mine removed for a long time."
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
Yeah,
that was
dude.
insane.
Yep, I hear you. My freaking jaw dropped when that revelation came out.
Yeah, and then you kind of they focused a little more on that scar that time too, because I didn't really catch that. And he wouldn't reveal when he had it removed. So I'm trying to like think. I'm like, now I gotta go back and look at a lot of this stuff because I gotta see if that scar was there because I don't think I saw it the last couple times.
Every other scar that they've shown, as far as like the claims being removed, it's usually like right up there by the temple, is where it's at. His
Mhm.
crosshair scar seems further back on his head.
Yeah,
So,
it's
no, like,
mangled.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I don't know if that accident might have affected it, or if he was taken out prior to that. Who knows?
Uh,
Who knows?
yeah, yeah, that's crazy. And now you get we already know that there's going to be a season two to this,
Mm-hmm.
so they gotta live. But we were talking when I was spouting some crazy shit earlier. When I said that I think that Omega force bubbles them and gets them to their ship, and she dies like in the process. Now that's huge. I don't want her to die, but
You,
that would
you,
be like a big reveal.
you,
And
you think
then
you think she's force sensitive?
we have actually been looking at how that she must be in some way force sensitive because they've always wanted to protect Omega, and she's always said that she was a little different, but she's one of them. But
Mm-hmm.
when she was doing the battle table stuff, whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she was I think she just knew things that was different. So on Flying Casual, we've brought that up a few times on the last episode that or last few episodes that we think that Omega is force sensitive. And we've speculated to where we think that Omega is the key to unlocking, like bringing back the Empire or something like that, so they could kind of experiment. But now I don't know.
Yeah, all bets are off at this point. I mean, who knows where we're going to go from here?
It is. And And that's something that's coming up too, because with the Kenobi show, we're gonna get live acting.
Mhm.
So what's your feelings on the Kenobi show?
Oh, I think you already know my feelings on the Kenobi show, my man.
I
You know Obi-Wan's my boy.
do.
So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Getting to see Ewan McGregor back as Kenobi. I cannot wait. It's gonna be phenomenal.
I gotta say, when we got you did listen to the last Casual Council, right?
No, no, actually, I missed
Oh,
that.
dude.
I got a
We,
little behind, so I'll have
that's
to catch
okay. We all do. Summer.
up.
Dude, ever since I like now that I just stay home a lot more, it's like I can't even keep up on the podcasts like I used to. So it's hard because that used to be like my getaway. Now it's like now I'm trimming bushes and mowing the
Yeah.
lawn. Doing like I can do things.
Mhm.
So for me, that's crazy. But when we were talking about it, we brought up that this whole show is going to be about like him feeling that he failed Anakin slash now Vader, and then at the same time, I think that there's going to be other things that are going to go with it. Uh, we got really crazy at the end of that, and we started talking about what was it? Time travel with the world between worlds.
Mhm.
And like at one point, I was like, "What if like Vader figured it out and met with Anakin?" And then Nettie brought up this moment where he was like, "Yo, Obi-Wan Kenobi says, Ezra Bridger, you're not supposed to be here." I was like, holy shit.
Okay, okay. Huh.
So we've been kind of thinking Ezra's the the gatekeeper, but how he saved Ahsoka.
Mhm.
How does that play towards what's going on into this show? Does Kenobi rehash that? Go on with that.
I mean, I hope they don't go too crazy with it. I mean, I would just honestly see it more, just more Kenobi content. More of like the not canon, the now Legend Kenobi novel. This is now 2 years
Okay.
ago. I think that was Kevin Anderson. I think I don't quite remember. I have to look it up. But yeah, and it was just like his time on Tatooine, like right after dropping Luke off with Owen and Beru, like what
Mm-hmm.
he was going to, what he did while while that was going on, plus having to being told by Owen to stay away. He's got no control. He's got nothing in this. Leave us alone. Leave the boy alone. That sort of thing. So it kind of goes hand in hand with what they did with the Ahsoka novel, where he's
Yeah.
hiding the fact that he's a Jedi, you know,
Mm-hmm.
concealing his abilities to trust people and just pass himself off as Ben, so he's still a hermit. I mean, I'd be happy even with stuff like that. Kind of it almost in a way it's almost like kind of putting like the superhero angle on it, like you
Yeah.
get that secret identity. Like you don't know he's a Jedi, but he's really he's here to save the day. But he's
He's
no, no, no.
Clark
He's
Kent.
just yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's Clark Kent.
he's just crazy old Ben.
Yeah. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Oh, he's lost his mind. But
Mhm.
for me, like when I think I saw like a commercial for it. Maybe it was fan created. And they seemed that they were going to this whole series is going to be like him tormenting himself. And I'm like, I that would be great to see because right now that we've had so much of like you said from the Mandalorian to the Bad Batch, it's been really good, and it's been kind of like you have these scenes, but we haven't really had like an in-depth like dark, alone moment of Jedi just sitting there by a fire and just thinking, having nightmares. Like we know he's gonna have nightmares. So that to me says this series could be about torment. It could be his. And for that's it. Some people might be turned off because it could be boring or it could be too much content. But for me, I don't think it's going to be like that completely, but I think there's going to be some elements of that.
No,
What do you think?
I like that. I like that idea. I like that feel. I think that would be. I mean, to me, that's more. That's more character building. That's giving more depth to the character and getting inside his head and finding stuff like what he's going through, what he's thinking, like you said, beating himself up or over, you know, oh, I should have done this, or I shouldn't have done that, But
Yeah.
that's not the Jedi way, for doing that stuff. But as well as I do, when you're alone with your thoughts, your mind wanders. It happens.
It does. And they already said, like, with his flashbacks, that Anakin's probably going to be in him. So for me, that just only says that torment's going to play over and over in his head. And like you said, with everyday reality, that does break people down mentally, to have that completely over and over.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they have some crazy ideas with this one. I mean, is there anything like?
There's even been like speculation, like you can look back on episode 4, and you see that moment where Obi-Wan saves you from the testing center, right? And he's sitting there and he's saying something about Luke says to him, I'm looking for Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes back.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Obi. And it's like, okay, like, is he just kind of like snapping out of it and coming, and like all that stuff is kind of rushing back into his mind about like, oh, I am Obi-Wan. I'm not, spending crazy all the time. It's kind of like the situation with Yoda. When you first see Yoda on Dagobah, and he's just this crazy, senile little green creature, and then
I was thinking about that.
And then slowly over time it gets revealed. No, he's this great Jedi master. So,
yeah, he's cooking weird soup and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's
fucking,
like, is that the
hates seagulls?
Stop it now.
I want to say, whatever you just did right there, it got a little better. So I want to make sure people can hear you clearly. So make sure, like, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I don't know if I'm, yeah. But
the microphone might have been just pinched or something.
It sounds better now. So, because I don't want people to miss what you're losing, because you have that. But we know Qui-Gon is going to be in this as well too. Because he's going to be talking to him. So you're going to sit there and you're going to talk to Qui-Gon, and you're going to be like, did you fail Qui-Gon? Did you not fail Qui-Gon, or was this part of Qui-Gon's? He already saw, because to me, I think Qui-Gon could see the future. I know, I'm going to say, I don't think I know he could see the future. He delved deep into that. So when he said he's the chosen one, he's not really the chosen one. It was Luke eventually. And then Qui-Gon might have some different words, different opinions, because that's what always got him in trouble with the council, is that he was the one that always spoke up. What do you think about that?
I hope we do get a little bit of Qui-Gon in it, but I hope that they keep things the way it has always been so far, at least canonically, that all you hear is Qui-Gon's voice. Because Qui-Gon didn't fully learn how to take corporeal form. Like, he just knew he could manifest his voice. He couldn't manifest his appearance.
Yeah.
So I don't want them to, see things and end up bringing in, seeing full force goes Qui-Gon, because that's not the way it should be. But yeah, definitely. Yeah. I can picture it in my head, Obi-Wan sitting there in front of, like he said, sitting there in front of the fire, just like talking to the fire, and then all of a sudden you hear Qui-Gon's voice coming, like filtering in through the air or whatever. If that happens, like, dude, I can tell you right now, I'm gonna have chills. It's gonna be.
You say so. Fire. That'd be dope as fuck, though.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
So, like what you just said there, like with the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, we hear all this talk about, being force sensitive, and then when you bring in Rey, and then you bring in Kylo Ren, and then how they were they were the diet. What? No, did I say that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
How are they? I think Obi-Wan and Anakin at first were the original dyad, but I think that maybe Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon were. And I think that maybe if we get, I don't want to say this, this is where I think the voice thing kind of comes into play, is that it would be nice to hear those thoughts go back and forth, because if you're not going to use a vision, then you're going to have that kind of connection through that.
Well, did you read Master and Apprentice?
Yes, I did.
Okay, yeah. And that book was great because it really goes into like the connection between
Yeah.
Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, and it goes into like their, you know, I mean, I was amazed just reading that book. You know, right off
That
the
book was
bat,
good.
it gets into like the conflict between the two of them because Obi-Wan thinks Qui-Gon's going to abandon him to
Yeah.
go join the council. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just, we all know, you know, that that's not the case, that doesn't happen because the book takes place before the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's once again, it's another one of those situations where it's nice to see that tension, that conflict, that character building.
Yes. That's, to me,
Given
that when you bringing up Master and Apprentice, it showed, because even though they were so great together, it showed that like Obi-Wan always would do his duty. Qui-Gon was always going to do what he wanted to do. And even at the end, like I didn't know they were going to end that book that way, but when they ended that book that way, I was freaked out. I was like, "Oh no." I was like, "They're burning him." This is it, just
yeah,
how it all turns and tides into it itself is amazing. And but I still go back. I love the way that those they switched the crystals out and Obi-Wan and he went through that shield like that. Got
yep,
him. I
yep.
was like, oh, that was it.
Yeah,
It was
that was actually one of the parts of the book. Like I read it, and I was like, "Wait, what?" Like I had to go back and reread that, and then it was like, "Oh,
yeah.
oh,
Yeah, they was
sneaky
messing with him.
Obi-Wan." Yep.
They was messing with him. And that was the thing, is like it was like, wait a minute, why are you letting them mess with you? But they let him, and they did it, and like the whole book together was amazing. And that's what I think is one of the best things about, you know, the Star Wars writing. We talk about like Claudia Gray and everybody that write all of these amazing novels, and it always ties in and what's going on right now with what's canon or not canon. And we all know it, flying casual, everything is canon to us. Everything is Star Wars. It's not canon, non-canon, EU, it's Star Wars. Period. End of discussion to me.
As long as
Like,
you enjoy it and are getting some kind of fun out of it, you know, that's all that matters. I mean, yeah, we can sit here and we can debate and whatever all night, but the fact of the matter is, and I said this before, it's like Disney's the one calling the show. You
mm-hmm.
know, like it or not, they took the story in a certain direction, and that's what we got. You know, and we gotta accept it. We gotta deal with it. You
Yep.
know, and I know people, you know, rave about the like the new Jedi Order series, the series of books, and that was something I
Yep.
never read. I never really got into. Now I did read the original Thrawn trilogy. The original Thrawn trilogy is fantastic, great writing, and they can
Uh-huh.
actually, if they did it the right way, they could still work it in and make it canon with the way that those books felt, because they've actually re-released those and introduced them as essential Legends novels, and they're doing the same thing with another famous trilogy of books. I don't know if you know which one it is, but it goes a little into the dark side.
Oh,
The Dark Bane trilogy is now being considered essential Legends.
yeah. Yeah. Are, you're not talking about them bringing back like the Death Troopers, are you?
No. I'm talking about like the original Thrawn trilogy, Heir to the
Okay.
Empire, um, Dark Force Rising, The Last Command. Those have now been, Disney has now re-released those books with
Yes, okay.
with the Essential Legends heading on it. They've also done the same thing with the Dark Bane trilogy.
That,
So,
see, that's right there. That's where they're trying to tie in that old school. And that's why you're getting so much talk about the old Republic right now. But then we have the High Republic. And to me, the High Republic is great. It's like goober babies just having fun. And this is what we talked about with like Yoda. Like, do we blame Yoda for the, and we had a discussion on this on the casual council, is Yoda to blame for telling them that they got to be more like monks and not training properly for that, and allowing someone like Sidious to pretty much come out of nowhere and destroy every single one of them? Because nobody, even in the wars, you had Darth Revan, Bane, you had everybody in these wars, but they didn't ultimately vanquish the Jedi. What vanquished the Jedi was them being taken from behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even Luke himself said it in Episode 8. It was their own hubris and allowed them to fall because they thought that basically they thought they were untouchable. They thought
Yep.
they were all powerful and nothing's going to be able to take us down. Nothing's going to be able to stop us. But then here you got Chancellor Palpatine, playing, freaking. He's got that little green Psylop under the table like Lando and Solo, so he's throwing down, the full house, behind everybody's back. So there you go, pulling another peak reference for you.
It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. It's and I had made the recent mention that I like where Disney's going. So for me, I feel that Rey may one day, and may not, she may not, so don't hold me to it, may be the equivalent of Grandmaster Luke. Therefore, if she is the equivalent of Grandmaster Luke, do you switch up Abeloth and make Abeloth a guy?
Sorry, you said the A word. I had to finish my drink.
It was coming. It was coming. It was coming.
Well, when you consider that, I mean, you got to. I don't know. I'm not all that familiar with that storyline. I mean, I know that's kind of like your forte of the Fate of the Jedi. You really got into that series.
I do. I love that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that being is essentially like a dark side deity, correct?
Yeah, she's so when she bathed in the well of knowledge and whatever else, she drank from the fountain, she became more powerful. So ultimately, she's not like a celestial. She became more powerful than the ones, and they only really allowed the ones to be in, was it Clone Wars, where Anakin struck them down and took care of that. But outside of that, she was locked away in the maw for a very long time by the way it was worked. Another thing that really interested me in that series was CP3O. And I brought this up because while C3PO was sitting there analyzing all this and storing it all, when he runs into the Killik, which is like that insect kind of being things, and they keep history like written. So while they had that all written, C3PO, too much Abeloth. He read a lot of those scriptures, and when he brought it back to light, he explained to them what was going on, that the Killik pretty much saw it all and have been pretty much like their timekeepers, just running the whole time. So that whole series, what got me going in that whole thing is, one, how it ended, because I loved Ben Skywalker. He was amazing. And that the way that I could see him and Luke combined together and always be there as like the mainstay of that light. And I mean, they went through Luke being injured, and at the end, you seen how powerful she was. She not only had multiple shells that were human, she had possessed a computer, and that to me right there, that's what Jaina Solo had to deal with. That's what, like, Saba 17 had her own entity to fight. Meanwhile, Luke is with I want to say Bane, but it's not Bane. I think it's the other one. He's in there in the the land of shadows, fighting her there, and then she's over here, doing all this stuff. And in the end, when you look at it all, it's like you could say she's a being, you could say that she's like an entity, but allowing her to be in multiple places at the same time, that's freaking scary. That's
Okay,
scary, and that's how powerful.
yeah. Okay, so that's what I was trying to get to. Is the fact that she's able to possess, you know,
What
other
was that again? You gotta
forms.
come at me.
I said, since she's able to possess other forms,
Yeah.
who's to say she doesn't take male form sometimes?
Yeah.
So,
And
I mean, there you go. I mean, if you want to talk about the fact that she's an entity, that she's basically a god, she's, you can consider it being gender neutral, because she could take over, whatever
there you
she
go.
wanted to, whatever it wanted to,
That's a good
at any
fucking
given
point,
point.
man. I didn't think about it that way. She could
There
be
you
a
go.
guy
And see, there you go.
easily.
And I haven't even read the book, so there you have it.
I think she actually. No, I want to say that she took over Ken, Grandmaster Ken. I want to say she took. No, I think he was act. It's been a while. It's been a few years since I, got into him. So it is definitely there's a lot of content, but I want to say he was definitely acting on his own. But like, yeah, she could easily be one of those things and hidden. And since they're talking about the Outer Rim now and the Bad Batch, you had that work in Solo, and you're getting exposure, and then you go back to the world between worlds, so you have time travel, and then you have um something's really crazy on your end.
I said the unknown regions were even mentioned in Rebels.
Yeah, yeah. So rebels, when you do all that together and you combine it, you have everything you need to explain the next step in Star Wars. What is the direction they'll take? That's the biggest question, and we'll figure it out soon enough.
Possibilities are
Hell yeah. So anything you want to add to the Bad Batch? You want to add a little Mandalorian, how that might tie in? How about Cal from Fallen Order?
all
You
I gotta say is I find this funny because my wife and I have been going back and forth a lot lately. I mean, we've been watching the Bad Batch, of course. Every new episode's been coming out. But and I don't know if you know this or not. She is actually currently doing a full canon reboot at the moment. Hang on one second, Tom. I gotta show up.
okay?
One second.
So while he's gone, we'll talk about what where Star Wars could be headed and things like that. So where I think Star Wars is going to be headed is that direction. I think that eventually it's going to get back and go and fix itself and introduce a new supervillain that Ray has to actually take down. And that doesn't mean Ray is the Grandmaster. You back with us?
Yep, I'm back with you. Okay, now what I was saying is my wife is actually currently doing a full canon reboot. Like she kind of recently got into the Star Wars fandom and had only been watching the movies, hadn't been reading any of the books or anything like that, but was just curious to know more. Wanted to see how everything connected, how everything went together. So we started picking up canon novels little bit here and there. She started with the earliest possible book at the time, with the earliest book we had was Master of Friends. And I started reading through them in chronological order. When the New Republic book came out, she went back, read through those and then jumped back into the time. She is currently up to Clone Wars and is actually watching through the entire all 7 seasons of Clone Wars. So we were sitting watching a couple episodes the other day, and we came up into season 4 during the Battle of Umbara. with General Krell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now the one character that's going to feature one flame different at hard cases.
Mm-hmm.
The
I'm hearing
hyperactive
you. I'm just missing.
heavy sleeper or whatever you want to call him. And we're sitting there watching it. She out of nowhere, she's like, "Oh my God, he reminds me of Wrecker." And I sat there and I listened to him. I paid attention to his narrative, and it's like, "Oh my God, she's right." Because hard cases of Wrecker, they have that kind of like, "Hey, I'm doing this for fun" kind of personality. You know, it's like, "Hey, I'm getting a kick out of this, so I'm just gonna, bust some heads, whatever." Yeah, I mean, because of the parallels and stuff that they're pulling in from the Bad Batch series, but yeah, in terms of the different cast, that's why when we went down to Disney back in
Mm-hmm.
May, um, I was trying to find the Wrecker coffee mug that they had released while we were in the park. I couldn't find it, so after we got back, I ended up ordering this stuff from Scott Food. Oh my God, the thing was a mess. It's like a 32-ounce coffee mug. It's ridiculous. It is huge. But yeah, it's like I saw that and it's like, you know what? I had to have that mug, he's such an enjoyable character. And I think he's probably, I don't know, for some reason I think he's the most relatable
Mm-hmm.
because he's that big tough guy, but he's also got that softer side to him that he only lets certain people see. So, I think we all can appreciate it.
I think I think that that's it. All comes back to just loving the entire series and loving everything that they are doing. Like, I like the EU,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to sit here and diss what I see going forward because I want to just be secluded to one universe. You know, when the Transformers evolved, people love Generation 1, Generation 2. They love that. When you get to the Beast Wars, it gets a little weird. And a lot of people turn that off and they're just like, whatever, it's not. And then you see the transgressions through the years. What really rang me different was one time I was having this discussion with this guy Corey at Pizza Outlet one time at night. We were closing, and he started like talking, and he was like, "Yeah, I never understood where." He was like, "I love Beast Wars, but I never watched like the original." He was like, "So I always wondered like who made Prime," and I'm like, "Dude, that's all answered." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "It's answered." So we sat there the whole night, and I started like plugging in things and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, so that's like what happens there," and I'm like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "It's a different story, know it all," because even if it intertwines or doesn't intertwine or whatever it does, it's just more. And right now, during what Disney is doing and what they are doing great right now is telling the stories that happened in all the years that were off. We're getting stories between, before episode 4 and 3, and we're getting stories between episodes 6 and 7. Well, we didn't have 7 back in the day. We've always known the books were the ones that were to go. You go into the Dark Empire, you go past that, and you go into. We were bringing up the last time on Casual Council. I brought up. Well, I didn't bring it up on. It was after the show. I was talking to them about Millennium Falcon. Millennium Falcon sets up the Fate of the Jedi series, and everybody goes like we're sitting here during some of the book shows and stuff, and they're like, why do we want to read about a ship? It's not about a ship. Have you read Millennium Falcon?
I own it. I have not read it yet, but I do have a copy of it on my book.
Yeah, you gotta read it, dude.
Oh,
Because
I'll get to it once.
um what really set it up for me was the way it follows the ship's owners, and then the individual battles that a lot of those owners get put in. More so, of course, you get a lot of meat and potatoes in the middle. I'm not going to ruin that. But what I will ruin is is in the end you understand that the Millennium Falcon is a key, and they use that key on a certain planet to further the story. So you go through all these years, but this one planet and this one base can only be unlocked by the Millennium Falcon. And that to me says it's more than just a book, it's a standalone book, and it's also a key, and it shows that these things were thought of before Luke did anything, before Death Stars were happening. This was a plan in motion by people, beings in that universe that was used. So when people say Millennium Falcon, it's just not about the car. It's not about the ship. It's about the story.
So what you're telling me is that the Millennium Falcon is more than meets the eye?
Yeah, it's a key.
Pull that Transformer reference right there.
It'll turn into like some, yeah, it'll just turn. It doesn't do that, but it does unlock something. And I will say it goes on a planet that is burning pretty much from the Yuuzhan Vong. So, and then there's a moment with Han, because we all know what eventually happened to Chewie.
Right.
So it really ties a lot of that. It has Lando in it, so it's almost like it's like a mishmash. It's almost like Queen of the Damned for Anne Rice, where you get actual interview with a vampire in a summary inside Queen of the Damned. Well, everything's a summary when it comes to that book, but it's just a neat thing. It's a neat book. It's real fun, and you'll love it because there's this battle arena part, and you get to that battle arena part, it's pretty good, dude.
It's definitely one of the because I kind of looked over some of the books, and it's like some of them it's like I'm never gonna get them, so I kind of decided to let some of them go, but that one's definitely one.
Yeah, dude, get the audiobook. Get the audiobook if you need to.
I have a sweet hardcover that I got off of some guy on Facebook. Yeah, like a bunch of them, like maybe $7 or $8, like $30 for like all of them.
Oh.
Yeah, and then I went up there to pick it up, and he was like, "Oh, do you want this too? I'll throw it in." And it's like this big, like coffee table book with like Star Wars, like technical guys or something like that. I'm like, "Hell yeah!" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take it, sure."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When you get to it, like I'll say this eventually when you get to it, the quote, "There's always a bigger fish in the sea," will ring very true during that arena fight, because you are gonna like literally you just like, what is going on? And then another thing too, what I really love about the EU books that kind of happened in Thing 2 is Leia, and how there's a point, I think it's maybe not in that book, but it's in the Fate series, where Han goes, "I could always tell her lightsaber buzz." Like, she saves him, right? And he goes, "The familiar lightsaber buzz, it always gives me a smile," and stuff like that. Like, Han knew her lightsaber buzz, man. That's deep, but that's life. That's like when you come home and your dogs are at the door. Like, Han was out, man. It was kind of like sexy in a way too.
Really look at it and like separate time. You go back to one, like he's living the life of like I very kind of home. And that's one thing that considering I've watched so many of them. The Galaxy's Edge Legacy Legacy.
I want to.
No, they did a with like every single one, like has its own unique sound. Like so you'll write up, say, Obi, and it's got like that, obviously it's a blue blade, but it's got that particular hang to it. But then you show it on eBay and David
Hmm.
and I sent you that video of how they rent it, and then it got that like a crackle to it. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I can get that with the thing, hot wet
Yeah.
the life for it. So yeah, it's like they go through the whole routine that has the same
Hmm.
personality.
It, it's a big part. Where is your mic at though? Because sometimes you bust out.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I got a short wire or what's going on. I mean, can you hear me
Yeah,
okay?
I got. I think. What's it called? They got. It's. You have some feedback a little bit.
Oh,
Sometimes
okay.
it bears you out. I got you turned up on my end because I can do that. So I got you back. But I
Okay.
was like, man, he's got a lot of feedback. But I was like, I can hear what you're saying, but then sometimes it'll pop you out.
Okay.
But I know where everybody's getting. Everybody can understand where you're going with that.
Okay,
But
cool.
where we're going is that it's a great series. It's a great it's great everything. Star Wars is everything. But when we get over to the Marvel series, the Marvel now that's a real crazy. So we had a lot of talk about Valentina, and I know you didn't see Black Widow, but the fact that they ended Black Widow with her, and the fact that they ended Falcon and Winter Soldier with her, the last scenes have her in it. And I know that's a spoiler. I'm not going to tell you anything,
That's fine.
but why? And
I can tell. I got a theory. I got a theory, and I know for a fact you can talk to Scotty, and Scotty will agree with me 100% on it. They're set up, and the thing that they're setting up, I'm going to sum up in two words: Thunderbolts.
I did. I was when I was going to see who she's associated with. So I know that John Walker is the U.S. agent.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And then, I'm just going to say she was talking shit to Black Widow's sister.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I
and
think
who,
from everything that I've read and everything that I've seen, the Black Widow kind of like, everything that I understand, kind of like setting up Yelena to become the Black Widow type character.
yeah.
It's even Black Widow, not something else.
Hmm.
But they already brought Baron Zemo back in with Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Baron Zemo was the one who established the Thunderbolts in the comics,
Hmm.
and he went by the alias Citizen B. He
Okay.
had this whole like red, white, and blue armored kind of like outfit. But the whole thing with Thunderbolts was that they were supervillains who
Yeah.
were posing as heroes. They were posing as new heroes creating these new identities. But then by the end of things, by the time like the Avengers caught on to him and started like going after him and stuff like that,
Hmm.
the majority of the team basically kind of realized, hey, we like being good. We like being heroes.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna change. We're gonna turn over a new leaf, which
Well,
that separates completely the idea of the Thunderbolts from the Dark Avengers.
yeah. Yeah.
Because the Dark Avengers was always Norman Osborn did to basically pull the wool over people's eyes.
Well, you raised so many good points with there because it's almost like the Suicide Squad. We're like,
Mm-hmm.
we know that they're
Yes.
bad, but we know that they serve a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I with the Red Patriot, was that right? Yeah.
Iron Patriot.
Yeah. And with him and being introduced into that movie and then going forward with what's going to happen, it's only setting up. I mean, right now everybody's talking about the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
They need to remember, or if they haven't caught up, that Valentina is forming this as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, because everything I see is multiverse, Spider this, it's Doctor Strange this, it's the Guardians of the Galaxy that, and it's all kind of working into itself. I think people are losing the fact that they ended the last two things that had to do with Marvel and that story with that being built up. And that is a big thing that is going to happen in the future. And it's something I'm not aware of because I've always been John Constantine, Vertigo, DC.
Right.
Kind of, it was going to happen. It's going to happen. Constantine's my dude, bro. Like, he just, I wasn't even old enough to buy those comics. And what ended up happening.
I remember the story you told on that episode of you and Scotty about going in there and like your the guy at the comic book shop was like, yeah, I know you're not old enough, but go ahead.
Yeah, it was like, I already know, but he moved around. His guy's name is Tim, Gateway Comics. Don't go turn him in. I'm old enough now. But he was like, he to me was, he let that happen. And the first time I went, me and my buddy Dave were there. And so he buys the one, I buy the other one. And I didn't know what to think because I didn't know this part was even part of a series. I figured that out, not being the first comic I ever bought of Hellblazer, but I figured it out. But I was so the writing still gets me. It goes, I could hear all of the vertebrae popping as he went for the candy, and it showed this dude biting his dick. I'm like, oh my god! I'm like, yes, and it just the graphic they made for it. I'm like, oh shit! It was It was good. And at the end,
did you ever read the Preacher series?
I did not, but I heard about it.
You got to check out Preacher. You gotta check out Preacher. If you like
everybody,
you gotta
oh, okay. I hear about Preacher a lot. Okay, I have to. Anybody listening to this right now, you gotta go check out Preacher because to understand.
Start from the beginning now. Like go to like issue 1 and go from there. Otherwise, you're gonna be lost.
Yeah. It introduces that like dark element to it. And what's crazy too is just like I've told you before, one of the hardest comics to get is the comic Sandman was created in, because the Sandman people and the Constantine people want that. That's the one comic I don't have. Like I bought this whole, like back in like eBay 90s, I bought this whole pack. It was like 1. I was like, oh shit, I'm getting a third number 1. It was like 2, 3, 4, 5, and I already have some of these. It was like all the way up, and it got to that one, and it just missed it. I'm like, come on, man. But
so close.
Yeah, it is. But the thing is these comics too, they cross a lot of barriers, and not just being dark. British talk is different from American talk. So like back in the day, I didn't know that the word fag was a cigarette in Britain. So at the end of that comic, after the dude bites his junk, Constantine just walks out and he's like, got a fag? And I'm like, and then I go to my buddy John and he's like, I don't get this. And he's like, oh, British, man, that's a cigarette. I'm like, oh, it makes sense. But I didn't, that's like issue 66 or 67. And then when I read everything together and I got to that point, I understand that man was possessed by a demon. That's why he was able to break his back to go for the bread. Not that we should be talking about that much. I don't even care. This is crazy. Here's Vader. I gotta say, that wraps like a lot of things into it, and it shows that no matter, was I mad at Keanu Reeves for doing this or whatever? I don't have tattoos there. I got them here, and making that power that he did in Constantine. I will say the series was amazing, and I
enjoyed the movie, and I think I got like the whole, like what you're talking about, like the thing with the forearm.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it because it's like he was piecing together a symbol. and that was where the power was in that symbol. But once
Yeah.
they separated, like it wasn't the danger, but bringing it together was what brought power.
It made a lot of sense and
Yeah.
going in that direction with him. And I'm really curious because this whole HBO trying to redo this,
Mm-hmm.
I can only imagine because that is how it should be done. Because like I've told you before, Constantine always fucked over the devil because they separated the devil and Lucifer. They were on their own little thing. So he'd fuck him over all the time. And he would just like, psh, right? And he would always flip him off. And this one time, the devil actually was like a man for a minute. But when he was a man, he was still like 6'10" and like just built as hell. And then like someone would slap him and he never felt pain his entire life. So he's like, ow, so he'd be like a big bitch. And and at the end of the series, the devil, because the devil got to be back to being the devil, and he goes, "Hey, John," and John turns around and looks at him, and he goes, and I'm like, it's in reading history, I don't think there's a better like touche than that. There's when he flipped John Constantine off, that was like issue 100, man, or something. I just was like, oh, good, he fucking did you like me or like you, like you. It was insane. I couldn't believe it, but it was well played. It was good, and that's what a lot of these things are going. So flipping back, I want to get back into the Marvel a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You did watch Loki, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep. Ooh.
I didn't. I didn't want to like girl Loki. I didn't want to like Sylvie, but then Sylvie was the Enchantress, and they combined it a little bit, which I think
Yeah.
that might piss some people off.
Mm-hmm. I liked it. I thought it was.
I I, I thought it was great too. I was a little pissed she stabbed that King because
Mm-hmm.
I knew that the next King, when he said, "You should be happy I'm here," because you don't want to meet the other versions of me. What I mean, word for
Mm-hmm.
word, whatever it was.
Yeah, you don't want to meet my variant or something like
That right there was like, yo,
that.
calm the
Oh,
fuck down.
did you catch the thing at the very end
Yeah.
when Loki got back to the TVA and he was talking to Mobius, and then it
Mm-hmm.
panned out and it showed that statue, and that statue was just Kang standing there in that pose with like his hands
Yes.
behind his back, and it's just like, oh, like, oh shit.
Yeah, because it wasn't no three. It wasn't no robots created. Like that dude was funny. He'd just be out there be like, oh yeah, it was great. Right. And then like now you got some mean motherfucker that's gonna just eat your shit. Like literally, he gonna fuck you up. And it's and like one thing diving into this and all the Kang and then God, God Doom, and all these things that come together. One thing I did notice that they said a lot, they said that everybody can beat everybody. It just depends on that certain situations. So you just ruled out Kurt Russell's character, but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, ego.
ego. You just ruled him out. Like he could just be beat up by Captain America over here, but then ego over here could whip up Captain America. And it combined a lot of things together for me that was like, okay, I understood it. But then the one thing it kept coming back to is it said still, even God Doom was scared of Mr. Fantastic. Like it's is it intelligence driven?
I
Because a
think
man's
so.
you go on.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Because Doom and Reed Richards were always rivals. They were, I wouldn't say they were like roommates in college or something like that. They knew each other
Yeah.
way back then. And like they were always like in competition with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's like Doctor Doom is like the Lex Luthor to Reed Richards. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like they're the arch enemy to each other.
Yeah.
So
Except God Doom is like way more powerful than Lex Luthor. And that's the thing a lot of people don't understand. That's like if you go back to DC Universe, the game, the video game, the online game, you watch the beginning of that. The one person who actually makes the sense is when Luger, good old wrestling, Luther goes, "This is our future if we keep doing this." And it took him to take a step back to understand that that was going to happen because the ultimate enemy came from above. And that's what that's what that game kind of set up in a way, which I thought was really cool. Because again, even though I was Constantine, like metal bands and with my friends, we all had our guys. I had Constantine and Rob Zombie. This guy was Anthrax and Judge Dredd. This guy was Marvel. And, it was a big thing to have your thing. And
ironic that you brought that up because Anthrax did do a song about it. So there you go.
Dredd's a badass too. But even then, Judge Anderson.
For those who are wondering, the song is called "I Am the Law."
I am the law.
Yep. Look it up.
And they want to hate on the Sylvester Stallone movie, man. The way he was like, I am the law.
I am the law. Yeah.
It just worked. It was just like, fuck. It's good. But I'll say the remake of Dredd was fucking dope too.
Oh, was it? I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, dude, you gotta see the remake to Dredd.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Oh, dude, you will love the cinematics. You'll love
I'll tell
it.
you what, I've been wanting to go back and rewatch the Blade
Oh,
with Wesley Snipes.
yes.
Those were fantastic.
Oh, dude, you can't replace that. Like I tried getting into that Blade series, and I'm just like, the minute I turned it on and I didn't see Snipes, I was like, I just turned it off. I'm sorry. Like I get it. Like, but I like the way that a lot of these things tie in together, and regardless if it's a comic or a movie, yeah, I know that Masters of the Universe was complete shit. Okay. But then Skeletor jumps out of the water and goes, I'll be back. And nothing ever happened. And now we have Masters of the Universe remix, and everybody's older, and I like it. But what ties all together is it keeps people like us always wanting more. And I sometimes can't understand why the other people are just like, out, not my stuff. I'm like, dude, so you're gonna put that down and go read like Anne of Green Gables or something? Not that that's a bad book or a bad movie. I will. I'd rather watch The Secret Garden, but whatever. That's just me as a person. I'm sorry. I'd rather read The Secret Garden than Anne of Green Gables. Sorry about your luck. Yeah, I don't know who wrote that shit, but yeah, probably the same person, ripping on the same person. But it just, to me, it just isn't. Even Flowers in the Attic, like that, you couldn't have played any better. You read the book and you're like, oh, it's some fucked up shit. But when you see the Amos coming, the absinthe or whatever coming through their nails like that, and they're like, that's fucked up. And to me, that's what always needs to be told, and that's what Marvel, that is what Star Wars, and that is what Disney is trying to do. Is they're trying now. I don't want to see Star Wars go full multiverse. Okay, that'd be a little weird.
I really, to be honest with you, I really don't want to see Marvel go fully that route either. I mean, I can understand maybe dipping their toe in a little bit and kind of it, but the whole multiverse thing, alternate realities, like that's the shit that always got DC comics in trouble back in the day. And how many times do they have to go and basically make this world-ending event just to reset their hand because they fucked so much stuff up by bouncing around? Oh, wait a second. Why was Batman doing this when he was doing this? Oh, that was an alternate universe.
Yeah.
Well, okay. That's how they just retconned everything. So,
yeah, it's like cheap out.
yeah, that happened in a different timeline. It's like, no, you just don't have consistent writers. That's the problem. So it's like they had to go. What was the first one? And
Well, it's like
no,
throwing in
I
Nightwing.
have, yeah, no, well, I have the graphic novel. I gave it to my Crisis on Infinite Earths. 1985 was the first time they did. It was like a full, like 12 issue series. Like there
For
was
some
this
reason, I
villain.
think I have that.
Yeah, there was like a villain who was basically like taking all the worlds and just like colliding them, like and destroying all the multiverse. And
Hmm.
basically, what they did is kind of reset the timeline, combined everything into one Earth.
Hmm.
But you had characters were pulled over from Earth 2 into the Earth 1 timeline. And, this guy was brought up here, and it's like,
Hmm.
okay, well, we've got this guy here now, but this person's gone. So it
Yeah,
was basically just DC going, boom, and hitting the reset button. And
it
being like,
is.
okay, this was a popular character. We're bringing him in. This guy nobody likes, so we're getting rid of him. And,
Yep.
like,
Well, the new Captain
whatever.
Americas, like we know they're coming out with one, so this is going to be, at least in my opinion, I haven't done a little. I've done none. I won't lie, like because I want to be surprised by it. But the new Captain Americas, that's going to be him putting the time stone back. And I've always said, like when he goes to throw back the Soul Stone, he's going to meet Red Skull. So how's that go down?
Yeah, right.
Like we all know what happened. Like we know he was, which I think
Yep.
is for like if you're like an ending boss or something like that, and you do some couple punches and you flip around and you do some stuff and you go whoop whoop. Come on, give me some more than that
Yeah.
though. But that's
No, I would pay to see the movie of Chris Evans as Captain America going back through time and throwing all these things. That would be just freaking great.
oh like, but I mean, that's supposed to be Captain America. Was it Thor? Is supposed to happen.
Hmm.
So it's got to be that. But I mean, I think that's years past that because they want to explain the multiverse.
Unless,
So
unless they pick it up with Sam Wilson as the new captain.
see, I was just thinking a little bit about that too, like just sending his ass back.
Mm-hmm.
But then like it would throw things off, but I think that it would really work right now because Sam is in it. And I think if anybody deserves to go back right now, it's him.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see that movie. Let's go forward with that. That would be cool. Totally
Dude,
cool.
how dope was that new costume? That was so sweet.
Like the fact that he's not a super soldier but was able to fight them because he was exposed in the series,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time he showed his weaknesses. Once they take his wings, then you have a whole episode about him learning the shield. That right there shows that he's developed into what he needs to be. But then I was reading something too that they were thinking about when Thanos came out and had his weapons sitting there. That one take was supposed to be Captain America's head on top of that, but they ditched it and then went with that. So they went with him getting Molder or whatever, and fighting Thanos, which was cool, good stuff. Make him old. Went back in time, saved some things, sitting on a bench. Everybody's sitting on a bench apparently. Uh, I like that. I like that the ways that it was told. And another thing too is a lot of people might not be talking about is Elias. So this version of Kang used Elias as a weapon, and he said that. However, the other version of Kang was fighting Elias because he didn't want to. That's another A word, by the way. They try to change that to me, but it's like Aboleth Elias. Scotty was like, no, not another A word for Rob. But so now, if you're going to change things, Elias is going to be different. That's going to be a whole nother thing. So I welcome that. I welcome where Star Wars is going to go. And I welcome that what Disney is doing is what they want to do. And they want to explain more of the universes that go around and the timelines that go into it. And if the EU people like it or not, then you're missing out. How can you end it one book? Because even when you end and you go to Cade Skywalker and Cade Skywalker being a badass, that's cool. But I still want to know what happened with Ben Skywalker and Vistara Kai to this day. I don't care. Like Vistara Kai was freaking an amazing character. She was everything you wanted in a Sith. And then being able to understand, she took her dad down. She killed her dad. Like straight up. Oh, I probably shouldn't have said that.
No,
Oh, I got a little about myself on that one. So if you read the fate of the series, yes. But there's a love infatuation between them two. And that, the story, and everything that goes forward in this right now with all these stories like Visions, people might be turned off with the Japanimation. Nope, I'm cool. I'm cool because that's another part of a universe, not a multiverse, that I will accept.
yeah, I've always been like as far as anime is concerned, I don't necessarily consider myself like an anime fan. There's a couple series out there that I've watched that I've enjoyed, but I don't get hardcore into it. And
Yeah.
it's like you see a lot of it going on like nowadays, like online, where it seems like everybody seems to take like everything and put like an anime spin on it. And it's like to me, like that's not. Like, I don't understand why people why like what people are that, but at the same time, it's like yeah, okay, it might give us some new stories, and apparently they've already admitted that the vision is not to be considered canon.
Mm-hmm.
But so what? I mean, it's still going to be some fun content. I mean, so
Yeah.
why bitch?
That's that's what I think people forget is when, and I know that I cannot explain all this right now, but the way Anne Rice brought the vampires and the witches together, that
Yeah.
is just amazing. And I've read so many books. I wanted to know more about Marius, and I got that in Blood and Gold, which was
Mm-hmm.
freaking amazing. But then you hear about what happened with Armand, and I mean, you're getting slave traders, you're getting sex slaves. Sorry, it happens in those books. Anne Rice is just not going to play a game. And when you get like, I got to when I was reading all this, my buddy John, the guy, because he read them all. He was the guy who was like, I'm going to be Witching Hour, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be the Vampire series. And then he went and read all the Witching Hour, and then he went and read all the vampires. And I'm like, he was like, dude, wait till you get the Blackwood Farm. And I'm like, really? I got the Blackwood Farm, and I'm like it was really deep. The way that they played it and they followed the characters and how they incorporated the vampires in that one. It's I'm gonna say it's not my most favorite book, but if I had a five of Anne Rice's right now, and now I have not read Prince Lestat, I have not read Lestat and the Stories of Atlantis, and I think there's another one after that. I'm not going to even name it because
Blood Communion. I think that's
yes, yes,
yeah, I haven't read those either.
I'm gonna say Blackwood Farm is definitely top five, and then I want to say, well, I'm not gonna, like, it's gotta be Knock the Devil. Like that's up there too. And I love Blood and Gold. Blood and Gold explained it so much because it just brought Lestat in. But right there, I probably got to say those three, and what fills out the other two, I got to step back from because there's so much content, but there's so much of the way it goes when they intertwine. And I'm not talking about Vittorio or that's all spin-offs and stuff like that.
Right, right.
But
Did you get the Blood Canicle yet?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
no, 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 I have not.
No, that's the one that's after Blackwood Farm.
Yes, yes, yes. That's the one I'm on. Oh, you
There
fucker,
you
you fucking finished it.
go. Years ago, dude. Years ago.
Oh.
That was my
because that's the
shit
one,
back
and then
in
it
the
goes
day.
Prince Lestat, Atlantis, and the next one.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
because Blood Canonical was like the last one for like years.
yes, it
And
was.
then sometime in like the early 2000s, he brought out Prince Scott, which he hadn't put out anything forever.
Yeah,
Yeah, Blood Canonical was really good. And
she
then
was into the Angel series and the Werewolf series then,
yeah,
so
I mean,
she was doing that.
You're talking, God, top five out of the Vampire Chronicles. I mean, I'm gonna have to go with what was considered the original five out of the series. Interview, Vampire
See,
Lestat, Kill the Body Thief, um,
Tale of the Body Thief, Queen of the Damned, the Vampire Lestat.
and then Knock the Devil. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those,
Neem
those
knock,
were
nem knock,
fantastic.
whatever you want to call them, because you just said something different. You know, I think a lot of people too, the Tale of the Body Thief, that's where I actually got burned out. I read all three of those books and I got to that point. That was where I started out. Like I got them over here, right here. It's like I can, if I like, I have hard covers because
Nice.
I like the big words but somewhere my Queen of the Damned came up missing. So I started like hitting people up. I'm like, yo, you got my Queen of the Damned argument. I'm like, man, I know I let you use that.
I'll
And
tell
I'm
you what.
like, I didn't get that.
You want to know what happened to me? What year was it? Whenever freaking Hurricane Sandy came through. That was what, 2010 maybe, something like that.
Yeah, I'll
I
just
had
go
all
with
my
that.
I had all my books in storage down in the basement. Our basement.
Oh,
I lost like 3/4 of my book collection. Like the majority of my human races.
oh my God.
I
But
lost
that's
like
what
half. I lost
that's what
like
just
half
happened
my
to that dude,
Yeah.
my dude Josh, that I've been
Yeah.
putting out. He had all those. His apartment was completely flooded, 4.5 feet of sewage water. Went through and wrecked 600 Nikes. It was wrecked. It wrecked all of his games. The only things that survived were like things that were like 5 feet and above. So he had like Mario trash cans from 1984. He had he had games like Little Samson. He had that. That's like a $2,000 game. He had that done. Like he said, he tried to save everything, and it soaked everything. He said what was more fucked up was the county came through and they condemned the buildings, so they would lock it down, so they couldn't go in. So they started breaking into the buildings to get in there to get his shit. And so, yes, yeah. And even when we went up last time, 2 weeks ago, you couldn't even take that road. It's still that fucked up. Like he lost everything. He was at his video game arcade place and he started getting fucking like water happening there and shit. And he was like, when he went home, his dog was in a cage because he was doing crate training. And he was like, I'll never put my dog in that again. And like, dog lived. And he lost a lot. Like, just the Nikes alone, 600 pairs of Nikes. He had over 1,000. He's regaining it. A cleaning company was like, "We got you." So he's like getting some of that back. But he lost his kids' PlayStation 5s, lost both of those. He lost just when I saw that. If you actually here's what really sucks because me and him talked about it. If you go watch the Toys from Low episode and you watch just that for like what it's like in the first 20 minutes, maybe minute 13 or 12, he does a full walkthrough. That's all gone. And when you see it, you're gonna be like he had what was it, the Jetsons or something video game? It was straight CIB'd. Like, dude, it's not even funny. But what happened to you and what happened to him, and he didn't have flood insurance either. He had everything else but flood. It hurts, man.
Yeah, it was rough. I mean, I was able to get some of them back.
Yeah.
Luckily, going and finding people on my Facebook marketplace.
Find some deals.
Yeah, I found some deals. So I was
It's
able
awesome.
to get the majority of it, like most of the races back, and the majority of the things that I lost too.
Yeah.
That's all good.
Hey, sometimes that's why but then I read a story where a guy thought that he would keep all the stuff in the attic and then a tornado came through, ripped his attic roof off and took a 1954 Mickey Mantle with it and all of his comics and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Moral of the story: maybe cover the insurances and make sure you might have some like talk because I brought all my video games. Some of my stuff's right over there now. All of them. I've the pictures that up. I brought all my games back downstairs too because they're on my second level. Not because a tornado is going to come through Erie, which that's not going to happen,
Right.
but hopefully not.
Yeah,
But
right.
at the same time, it's great. So, all right, man, we've been kind of running this for a while.
Yeah.
Um, we definitely have to do this again.
Absolutely.
Ending thoughts, man. Give me something. Either
Uh,
Marvel, Star Wars, both. Where do you want to see it go?
you know what? I'm just gonna end this off on a blanket good thought. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. You know, look out for your brother. Look out for your sister. We're all in this together.
Love that. I like that. You're right. You're right because when I just went up there, we went up and we gave him clothes, Josh, and everything like that. We did that. You just got to look out for people. He was telling me a story about people actually that didn't like him or they have a video game business up there. They went by his house and they took pictures of it and put it on Facebook laughing about it. It's fucked up, man. That's I you gotta you sometimes you have to set aside that maybe somebody's doing better than you or doing the same thing as you and there's a competition, but when someone gets hurt or somebody has like that happen, you don't kick them in the face, you don't kick dirt in their eyes, you help them out, you help them back up. That's what you do.
Right.
That's what I love, man. All right, we're definitely going to do this again because we didn't get into dressing up or anything like that, and we're going to get deep in that because I know that this stuff. But it was an honor to finally talk to you and get this episode done.
You too, man. It's definitely been a blast. I would definitely do this again.
Oh yeah, we're going to do
Fun
this,
time.
and I'm going to end it with some music, and then we're going to talk for a few seconds after that. So let everybody know when you always have something in life, no matter what, if you like the EU, if you like the Star Wars, if you like the, oh yeah, let me,
If you like those cool little things called the comics, it doesn't mean you have to stick in one lane. Dig it? Yeah. You just gotta be the macho man, Randy Savage, doing his thing, spinning around, and always bringing the pain. Ooh.